Want to call to order the September 11th, 2018 meeting of the Century Parish Council Utilities Committee meeting. Would everyone please stand for the invocation? Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Dear Lord, we thank you for this day. Lord, please look over Century Parish and all the Gulf South region through the impending storms we got, and also with special prayers for the folks in the Carolinas as they see the impending doom of that storm on them. We ask that you watch over them, as we've been in that situation many times. We don't wish that on anyone. Please stay close. On this day, September 11th, as it's marked in our memories forever, the tragic accident and the things that happened 17 years ago, we ask that you continue to put your hand upon those families that were impacted by that tragic event, and all those emergency workers, police, and firemen. We ask that you look over them. We ask that we continually reach out our hand to our brothers, not in hate, but in compassion, and work with each other within our personalities and our differences in our cultures. We ask this in your Son, Jesus Christ's name. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please note that all committee members are present except Councilman Joseph and Councilman Turner. And we have Chairman Dawson sitting in to aid. There were no chairs additions. Public comment. If anyone wishes to make any comments on an agenda item, please come up and sign in, and we'll give you time to speak on that when that comes up. Right now, we'll move into agenda item number 5, the Director's Report. Mr. William Daniel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the Utility Committee. Appreciate your attention and being here tonight. Last time, Councilman Joseph asked for sort of an update on what the summer employees had done. So I wanted to do that. They came to work right after the July the 4th holiday, and they were there for about 5 weeks. And during that 5-week time period, they physically inspected 635 meters. They took a picture of every meter and then a picture of the property that it was metering the water for. And they loaded that into a database. They verified whether the meters were active or inactive, and they verified the address versus the meter number that we had in our databases. They found 10 meters that were allegedly inactive, but were in place in the physically in place and working. So we're in the process of rectifying that. They also found 47 leaks at the meters as well. So we were very pleased with what they were able to do. If anybody has any questions about their activities, I'd be happy. Oh, we had one employee that scanned thousands of documents and put them into, that we had historical documents, and she scanned thousands of those documents into our system.
It was both.
It was primarily PUA.
The
Mr. Johnson.
the meters where they found the leaks at. Do you know if they were on our side of the meter or on the customer side?
Well, they were a combination.
And the meters that they found that were not active, was it not active in our system? We wasn't charging people for the water, or was it? What was the status? What you mean not active?
I think there was they were not active in our system, and we were not charging people for the water, and we are now in the process of correcting that.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Dawson, you had said you got your
No, I
question
just
answered?
wanted to know if it was
Yeah.
both ACUD one and PUA.
Yeah, it was
Is that
primarily,
what you
primarily PUA in the city of Donaldsonville.
Okay.
Mr. Sadler?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for your report, Mr. Daniel. The 600, I didn't get captured, you were talking very fast number, but it was over 600 meters you said were inspected by our employees. I assume that's excellent. Is that all the meters in PUA? Or?
Oh, gosh, no, there's probably, there's over 3,000.
Okay, and so the plan going forward is to continue?
Yes, sir. We'd like to find some other part-time employees to continue this.
Okay, excellent. And in my observation on that would be, first of all, that's a wonderful thing that you're doing, but if you only found 10 meters out of 600, that's what, 1/60th of the total examined. That's just a little bit percentage. And so if that trend continues, a lot of the water loss isn't just because we have active meters that we're listing inactive and people are, and I put this in quotes, stealing, or what's a better word, enjoying water without paying for it. So the 47 leaks, to me, is a little higher number as a percentage of the 600. That trend continues as we do these well beyond the 600, then that may, I don't know, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, wouldn't you agree, help a whole lot in finding all of the lost water?
Yes, sir.
I mean, I don't know how bad these leaks are, or
Well, they're not leaks that are just spurting out, so there's not, but they were definitely leaks that you could see.
and that's leaks on our side of the meter,
both sides.
on both sides.
Yes, sir.
The 47 number doesn't discriminate between the two.
No, sir. I don't have that broken down. They were just leaks, so I didn't get that.
Okay.
But there are other leaks that we have found recently as well, and we had a call in today. A guy told us that something had been leaking for a year.
Wow.
So we're in the process of getting that repaired. We had to call Dottie because there's other lines in there, so we're waiting for Dottie to mark them, and then we're going to dig it up and fix the leak. But that's on ACUD number 1.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
In regards to the grant/loan from the U.S. Department of Agriculture, it was officially accepted today. We got the resolution of the minutes and the proof of publication, so USDA has it. They had a couple of more questions regarding some of the processes in the preliminary engineering report, which we answered this afternoon. And if those answers are sufficient, and they're all indications they will be, they'll forward it to their Washington office in the morning. So we should hear by the end of the month.
That's customary. There's probably hardly any application ever went in that didn't have some questions.
Yeah, well, they wouldn't be doing their job if they
Especially
didn't.
you talking about a parish like ours with our resources and the combination of sources and entities.
Well, and I know I said this the other night, but again, I would like to reiterate that GSA, who was the primary, and then their sub, Owen and White, they did a tremendous job of pulling all this information together in a very short period of time to get this preliminary report done, because it had to be done really by August 31st. And USDA, I got to give them a lot of credit too, because they really worked with us and they allowed us to turn it in and wait on the council hearing and then the proof of publication. So it was really, it's one of those times when you feel pretty good about government. So
Yeah.
I don't always feel that good about government.
Yes, Mr.
Yeah.
Sadler.
You brought up another issue now. So the USDA grant approval, that's excellent. Would you be willing, or could you reiterate both the Fed and the Ascension Parish sides of that, if that becomes a reality? How many dollars? I know you've stated before, and I've read about it.
So it's so what it is, it's a 40-year loan at 2.375%. But approximately 40 to 45% of that is going to be a grant that we do not have to pay back. So the breakdown is going to be about $7.3 million a grant and $10 million a loan payable over 40 years. It's going to be the loan portion will be paid back with user fees, and if we get the grant in the 40 to 45% like we think, it's going to raise The worst case would be to raise the residential rates on PUA probably about $6 per month.
That's what I read.
And if we, but that's the worst case. I mean, we have some flexibility between the commercial and residential, so we might can lower the residential rate just a little bit.
And you're saying, Mr. Daniel, that the user fees will cover the entire 40, on our side of the ledger, 40-year loan at 2.375,
Yes, sir.
with that maybe little bump from.
Yes, sir. And the,
And so for that, we would, all of what we would get is, in terms of improvement of the P. And I think I read also, this is almost all PUA, very little affecting ACD.
it is almost all PUA, very little ACD number one. The ACD number one is going to benefit because we are going to, we've done all the hydraulic modeling to connect PUA system, water system, to ACD number one. So that conversion will take place, as well as replacing a lot of the pipe, a lot of the older pipe in the PUA system. That's probably about $13 million of the $17 million is infrastructure, and we're going to be replacing all the meters as well. And they'll all be the telephone, internet type of meters where we'll get the information. We don't have to read the meters. In other words, it'll be broadcast to us.
How about the plant? So that's meters.
Well, there's
and
about
pipes down there.
$4 million is going to be for improvements to the plant, to make sure that we to get the capacity up to about 2.8 million gallons per day from the current 2.2. And then we're also looking at filing a permit with LDH to change how we treat the water to what we think would be a more efficient way of treating it. That's one thing. And then the other thing we want to do is replace a bunch of the pumps and pipes and things inside the plant. And that also includes work on the ground storage and some of the elevated storage towers. So it's a pretty comprehensive makeover of the system.
And where do we, on our side, where do we borrow the money for our part of the loan?
Well,
Local-
the money comes from,
There was some requirement about local banks. And
well, here's the way it works, is USDA will give you a funding letter and say, you have this money. We guarantee that you have this money. So then you can take it to the bank.
You take it to the bank.
And you can get an interim loan, and once you complete all of the project, then USDA will pay for everything, and then you just make the payments to USDA.
And how are these banks forced to loan the money at 2.375?
They don't necessarily loan the money at USDA is going to loan the.
I see how it's
You just get the
okay.
interim loan with them
I got
for
you.
a short period of time.
Okay. Okay. So it looks like an overall, pipes, meters, plant improvements, an entire facelift. And then maybe all these problems of water loss and everything goes away.
Well, I would say we're going to, and one of the questions that they asked was, how much are you going to reduce the water loss? And of course, we don't have a lot of good information on that, so we had to make some estimations. But I would suspect that a lot of our water loss will go away. But remember, we're not replacing every single line.
Right.
We're just replacing a lot of the lines. So, but I suspect that this will have a great impact on our on not only the leaks that we have, but also allow us to use our personnel in a much more efficient manner, because I'm not going to have 3 meter readers and a supervisor meter reader. I'm just going to be able to have 1 meter reader, so I can have those people looking, doing the leaks or some other task there, or maybe assign them somewhere else in the parish even.
And how will we decide which pipes get replaced?
Well, we have a database of the pipes and when they were put in and how
By
old they
age?
are.
Yeah, okay.
And we're replacing first the galvanized pipes and then the other older pipes first. And we're also having to replace certain pipes that, under new regulations, have to be bigger than the pipes that we have in the ground.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Daniel.
If there are no more questions on that, I do want to say that
Yes.
I was hoping to,
Mr. Daniel.
Sorry, Mr. Daniel,
oh,
can you tell me the schedule for the implementation of this, a distribution system, I guess, mainly?
well, once we close on the loan, once we receive confirmation from USDA that we've, that we're good and they've calculated the amount of grant money. Then I'll come back to the council and of course I get a tell y'all what the terms are. And if then it's then approved, then we'll have to put out an RFQ for the design work. And once the we go through that can be somewhat of a lengthy process, as you're aware. But then once that's done, then we'll get the design work done. Then we'll go out for bid to do the work. And I suspect that it's going to take anywhere from 18 months to 24 months.
And probably a year's worth of design and engineering.
I don't think it's going to take a year's worth
Oh,
of design and
okay.
engineering. I think, 4 to 6 months.
Optimistically, 6 months and then 18
4
months on the.
Yes, sir.
On the construction.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Thank you.
And you were saying,
Well, I was going to say, I was hoping, my goal was, and I did not meet it, was I have some sewer ordinances that I want to bring to you for change. We've been reviewing all the sewer ordinances. There's kind of a conflict between the ordinances. We have a subdivision 3 and a subdivision 4. Subdivision 3 sort of contemplates that you have a sewer system in place, and a subdivision 4 is sort of for community systems. We've been using subdivision 3 for basing all of our decisions on, which I don't think is correct. So we are rewriting those ordinances to make them more workable. And I'll have those for you at the next meeting. But one that I just wanted to put out on the table, because I want you to think about it ahead of time, is currently that they passed a resolution saying that the parish would pay for all of the collection system and pump stations and treatment, and then they'd get a credit for that against their sewer fee that we charge, which is $2,500 per household, $1,250 by the developer and $1,250 by the homeowner. I think that's sort of a giveaway. They have to build a collection system and a pumping system anyway. I don't understand why we did that. I'm sure they had a very good reason then, but I would like to change it. And so what I'm going to propose
have a
to
good
you,
reason.
They did.
sir?
I just mumbling.
Okay.
They didn't have a good reason.
So,
It would
and I
seem
know,
like
look,
it would be the other way around.
it will probably not be popular with the developer, tell you that, but it's fair. They have to build the collection system. They have to build the pump station. I don't care where they build. That's part of development. And to give them a credit for it, we're just sort of bankrupting our sewer fund, and it's sort of making the economics of having a sewer system, it's kind of turning that upside down. So there's a resolution that I'm actually going to want to repeal that calls for us to do that. And then we're developing standards for pump stations, wet wells, and for temporary like neighborhood sewer systems while we're working on our master plan. And then we're going to provide that to the developer, and there'll be no more credits or anything like that. So that's kind of the general idea. That's where we're going. But I would appreciate, your guidance from you on that as we move along in the process.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that forward. Mr. Johnson?
Mr. Daniel, I would recommend if we are going to offer any kind of credits and maybe some encouragement to the developer if there's residents within reasonable distance outside of the subdivision that they can bring into that fold and bring into that system, that we can offer them credits in that line. But I agree with you 100%. If it's something that they have to do for the development that they're building, they don't deserve the credit for that. So I think if we had something in there to offer a credit for extending beyond their boundaries to other residents outside of the subdivision, that we could offer them something for that. But that's about, or anything they would want to. There's something we're working on now with a developer to potentially do something in any type of stuff he does outside of his development, not for his development, but outside of it to where we can extend the reach out to other people, that we would offer them something towards that.
If they do something over and above what would be required for their development, then I think they should get a credit for that.
Yes.
100%.
And some of the things that we gotta look at through the planning and zoning and everything, and through the reviews that the different departments reviewing, is that, that look at, make sure they got the capacity to build out phase 1, 2, and 3, et cetera. But also if that capacity, if we have an area that we have some need, that we, wherever this is going, that we look at that.
Yes, sir.
For
No, I
that
agree
extended
100%.
capacity.
If you build it and they will come. So,
And the locations of these systems need to be more inherent, that's acceptable for us as far as a future
Right.
system coming in, not stuck way in the back of
You're
a
talking about the
subdivision
physical
somewhere. The
location
physical location of the
based on
treatment
the
plant,
property.
that's
and,
correct.
It's
and we
usually in
have,
the back.
we have
It's
sort
usually in
of,
the back, and that makes it difficult for us when we're gonna run a
That's where
truck
my-
line down the highway, and they're way off the roadway.
right, so we have jump-started a new process in the subdivision meetings where we have utility, transportation, and drainage present at all the meetings now.
Awesome.
And we look at
Yes.
everything over. Been meeting with the inspectors every Thursday morning. Some things came up that I was not aware of, the way that they were doing their job. We're going to develop a checklist for them to go through to make them, to be certain that they've done everything that Ascension Parish requires. And my message to them is, look, when you buy a home, that is your biggest single investment. And we've got to make sure that people who buy homes can trust that the drainage, utilities, are going to be good for them for the life of their investment. So I think it's extraordinarily important that we do these subdivisions very well.
Yep.
So we'll see if the message resonates.
Thank you, sir. Got anything else for your,
That's it for tonight.
all right. We'll move on to agenda item number 6, approval of ordinance to amend chapter 10 franchises to add section 10-27, Point Capilla Electric, PC Electric, granting and assigning a non-exclusive franchise to PC Electric for distribution, delivery, sale and/or supply of electricity and/or electric energy and/or electric service to any and all residential, commercial, and industrial consumers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is our franchise agreement. I could explain to you why Point Capay Electric wants to be here, but I have Ms. Desiree Lemoyne here who can do a much, much better job at it, so I'd like to bring her up and explain it.
Welcome, Desiree.
Hello there. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members. My name is Desiree Lemoyne, and I represent Point Capilla Electric. Also, we've just rebranded as PC Electric. We felt that the Point Capilla was holding us back. We are looking to expand our footprint. We currently serve Point Capilla Parish, Iberville Parish, West Baton Rouge Parish, and we would like to expand into Ascension Parish and bring some more consumer choice and competition to the parish. And that's what we're looking to do. And I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, just based on, several years of serving, the whole word franchise puts people running either east or west, whether they like it or don't like it. So, it's a little bit of a caution sometimes, but, I will open the floor to the committee members. Mr. Dawson.
No, thank you for coming.
Yes, sir.
So I had a couple of questions.
Okay.
Did you try to get in St. James? And
Yes, we are still working on that.
Okay, so you're not, and is there
We
any
went
particular
before,
reason?
we went before the St. James Council just to give permission for Mr. Roussel to go into negotiations
Right.
for franchise agreements. So
Okay.
we made that step forward, that was approved. And now we're just kind of stalled, but I'm still working on it real hard.
So, and I'd like for you, if you don't mind, just lay out, what this means. If you get a franchise here in Ascension Parish, what does that mean to the current people who are on the energy or grid, or, the existing franchises that we have, and how does that relate to people that are currently using that electricity and new customers, if you don't mind?
I'd be happy to. Currently, Ascension Parish has an IOU, an industry, Entergy, an investor-owned utility. They also have Dixie Electric, another co-op such as ourselves, or DEMCO. And I believe there's a third electricity provider in Ascension, but it escapes me who it is right now. So you have consumer choice and competition now. You're not an exclusive parish like St. James is. Back in 2013, Entergy, of course, owns the infrastructure. They're the big boys. Back in 2013, MISO, which is the Mid-Continent Independent System Operator, which controls the grid, basically said, Entergy, you have to give other utilities a metering point. It's all about the residents. It's not all about your company. And that's what we're operating under now. And that gives us the ability to grow and to go into other parishes. And with electric cars and efficient appliances, we want industrial load. We want to compete for industrial load. And we've told them that, the competitors that, and that's what we want to do. And we would like a franchise agreement to do it in Ascension.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Just reflecting back on my days at Big Cajun, you know, when we had, especially during outages, that we had to go on a grid, and there were several partnerships for that entity to serve the consumers they had. And, you know, you're very familiar with them, so.
Yes, yes. Point Copee Electric buys their energy from NRG.
Right.
NRG is currently up for sale. We believe CLECO is going to purchase the Louisiana assets. It's currently in front of the Public Service Commission. Hopefully that will be closed towards the end of October. Or something's going to happen by the end of October.
Right. Something's got to happen.
That's right. That's right.
Thank you. Mr. Sadler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Desiree, welcome this evening. And
Thank you.
I like competition.
Thank
And
you.
Randy's correct that people get all crazy about the word franchise, but especially when it's exclusive. But I'm noticing in the stuff in our packet tonight, the very first sentence reads, and for the public's benefits, it's granting and assigning a non-exclusive,
That's right.
as that wonderful prefix with the hyphen, non-exclusive franchise. So we'll be adding, as you've just explained to this committee and hopefully for the people watching at home, another option potentially besides Energy, DEMCO, and you didn't identify.
That's correct.
Whoever it is. I probably should know that myself, but I honestly don't. Not important. I want to discuss two things, the metering point you talked about, and then how does your company, I want to call it Point Copee, it's
PC Electric.
Electric.
Yes, sir.
Interesting, you'd want to get away from that name. People in False River are probably not too happy with you. How do you produce your juice, so to speak? Is that,
We don't.
No.
We just transmit.
so you buy in,
Yes, sir.
and then after you buy, you would then, because you said there'd be no new infrastructure in terms of I assume that means like no new electrical posts, transformers, none of that.
Oh, no.
You would just go to this metering point.
No, I'm sorry, let me better explain. Entergy has the grid, so to
Right.
speak, but we have the equipment, and they just have to give us a point where we can build out
I see.
from their infrastructure, because they're the big, we don't generate.
So in times of hurricanes, when all this infrastructure gets knocked down, it's still up to Entergy to come out and.
Well, they
crews
charge us for it.
And they charge you a certain amount for.
We have to, we pay them, we pay.
Reinstalling the service.
Yes,
I got it.
excuse me, the
That'll all be behind the
investor-owned.
scenes contracts not involving us as a parish, but between you and Entergy.
Correct. The investor-owned utility will always make money.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I know you're not doing this for free,
No.
but you're giving our citizens another option.
Yes, sir.
Which, okay, Mr. Chairman, I'm fine.
Good deal. Yes, Mr. Johnson.
So what part of the parish are y'all looking to serve or get into?
The
all of
entire
it?
parish.
Entire parish.
Yes, sir.
That entire
So you
parish, I
have
just
to-
have to ask, that includes Perryville, right?
Well, sure.
So,
All right.
so do you have to have the same agreement in the DEMCO area where DEMCO's supplying
Yeah.
the utility, the electricity?
DEMCO currently has a franchise in Ascension, I do believe.
Yeah.
Yes, and we just want the same thing they have.
I'm not, what I mean is for an area where I serve, I don't have an option of energy, it's strictly DEMCO. So if, in order to serve, you'd have to purchase your electricity from them, I would assume. I don't think they cross lines.
No, we can't take any existing customers. We can't do that. We can't come into a parish and take customers. There's a 300-foot rule, and if there is an established utility within 300 feet, you don't have customers. We can just go from here forward with new customers.
Well, what you do is you give the new customers, and, you know, you're talking big ones like industry and
Right.
things like that, where they can really see the capital
We can
savings.
compete, yes,
You
sir.
can come in and give them a third option contract.
Correct.
Or at least a second option contract, which, because I don't believe
Demco
Demco
goes that far.
and Energy cross paths too much.
I'm not familiar with their territory here in Ascension,
Yeah.
but I know that we would definitely compete. We'd
They're-
want to compete for the
They're
industrial
pretty- They're
load,
pretty territorial.
so we can grow, yes.
All right.
And new subdivisions, new developments, all of that.
And that's what we trying to clear up for the public that's watching.
Yes,
And
sir.
the people we represent is, okay, you're coming in with, PC Electric.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Okay, if, in Santa Maria where I'm at, if a subdivision is built, you've got the ability to compete for our business, and you would have to work out, an agreement with Demco right there,
With the developer.
with the developer.
The developer would have a choice.
Yeah.
Granting this franchise would give the developer
Okay.
a choice unless Demco was already established within 300 feet of wherever he's building.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm just saying, because Demco's out there, and Demco has the wire and the
Yeah.
pole.
Yeah.
And I know with the communications and both with electric, there's federal regulations that
That's right.
make that somewhat public to start off with.
That's right.
That, you know, somebody can't deny you electricity. and,
Correct.
You know, things like that.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Mr. Sadler?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, could we bring Mr. Daniel maybe back up to the mic? I have a question for him as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Okay, William, so the intent of this item tonight, we have an ordinance in our packet which has an exhibit, which I'm going to make the assumption legal counsel, they're not here, wrote the legalese for this.
Yes, sir.
And you're looking maybe for a recommendation of this committee to the full council that we proceed with this ordinance?
That's right.
That's correct, sir.
So I'm going to go ahead and make that motion.
Second.
We got a motion by Mr. Sadler, a second by Mr. Johnson. We have a question by Mr. Dawson. You want Desiree back up?
Or either one, but I just wondered,
William,
does it
both y'all
take,
come up.
yeah, does it take any more approvals, PSC or any, MISO, does it take any more approvals after we do, the parish does this?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you.
It's just for us to do some,
A motion and a second. Motion by Mr. Sadler, second by Mr. Johnson. Any further discussion? Any opposition? No opposition? And this motion is to move to the full council with this. And if we, before I wrap the gavel on that, if we got any legals that anybody's asking, I ask that you be prepared at the next time it comes up at the council meeting to address those. Because once again, people get scared of the word franchise.
We're going to be all right.
You're an electric entity, we have gas entities, we have other utility entities,
Gonna be all
we have water entities, you know, that
Cable.
communications.
and
Yes.
Mr. Dawson, just for clarification, if PC Electric is able to compete for a development or an industrial load, and it's a big project, we would have to go to the PSC.
Oh.
And we'd have to lay out everything. So specific projects would have to be approved.
Okay.
As far as industrial load is concerned.
Well, thank you for
Just to
that
clarify.
clarification.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
We have a pretty significant industrial presence on this board and committee and council and within Ascension Parish, so that's one of the major questions. And definitely you'd be looking for the big guys within your business plan. No further discussion,
Thank you,
no
members.
opposition, motion passes. Move on to agenda item number 7, Parish Utilities of Ascension Monthly Water Audit Report for July.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members. So, you know, one of our goals has been to try to get this a little more accurate. We brought out the Louisiana Rural Water Association, and they got their mag meters, which they did for free, and they measured our meters coming into the plant and some of the other meters as well. We found out that the big meter coming in the plant was only about 89.5% accurate, so it was overestimating how much water was coming in, which is not a surprise to us because it was the wrong meter for the wrong size pipe out there. So, so we made that adjustment on the report. So this month we sold almost 6 million gallons of water to ACUD number 1. We had 30, so that left us about 37.5 million gallons, 37.6 million gallons. Of that 37.6, we sold 21.3. We had, we think that we're still losing some on the meters. In fact, I heard about a report today that a study that they did over the life of the meters, and I'm going to get that and take a look at that too for future reports. But bottom line is we lost about unaccounted for about 8 million gallons. The trend is still down from the past. We found a lot of leaks and have those. It was higher than I was hoping for this month based on the previous month, but the trend is still down, and I hope we continue in that direction. Be happy to answer any questions.
Yes, Mr. Johnson.
Mr. Daniel, do we have especially inside the plant, the water meters that the residents wouldn't apply, but do we have anything or any kind of idea about potentially contracting with a third party to come in and do some instrumentation work every once in a while, calibrate, verify the meters where they are? I'm not sure how that functions inside of a water treatment facility, but I know, we wouldn't have it. I don't think we got enough there that would quantify hiring a person to do it full time, but.
Sure. Well, the Louisiana Rural Water Association will come out and do this for free for you. But as part of the plant upgrade, we're going to replace all those meters and a lot of the pumps, and it's going to give us a lot more control over our system. And I think Jason was up here last time explaining, we're trying to operate the system in a sort of a steady state manner where we don't surge, turn pumps on and turn pumps off, but we just try to keep everything even now. But the bottom line is all of our meters are suspect inside the plant. Now our instrumentation, where we take the we take the readings on the chlorine levels and the ammonia, and all, we feel very confident about those. We have a system, although it's a little bit more expensive than I would like. It's very accurate and it's very simple to use in terms of those measurements.
Even meters in constant state will tend to drift over periods of time, and so it's every so often, every year or two, depending on the severity of the system, or in this particular case.
We're going to have a maintenance schedule where we going forward where we verify that the maintenance is being done and the meters are being calibrated on a regular basis.
Awesome.
I should have said that to begin with, but
yeah. It would have shortened it.
Yes, it would have shortened the discussion.
Good deal. Any further questions? Yes, Mr. Dawson.
You've got the treated water to ACUD 1.
Yes, sir.
And how much do we charge ACUD 1 for that?
As far as I know, we've never charged them. We're keeping track of it, but as far as I know, there's never been a bill sent to ACUD number 1.
So is there, how do we keep that accounting? I mean, in effect, we're cutting PUA short, and we're making ACUD, why don't we want to take care of that accounting?
Oh, I definitely do.
Okay.
It hasn't been the top of the priority list in dealing with problems for me.
It seems like a fairly simple solution. Am I oversimplifying that? Just tack a number on there and say this is what we're going to, you got the volume.
Yes, and I guess one of the things we've got all the volumes, and so it's very easy to make an adjustment at the end of the year and say, this is how much money that AC, and we can transfer it over and make a journal entry and take care of it. I just want to make sure that I have all the right numbers, and then we have to agree upon a cost. But it's just basically taking money from the
Yeah, well, I
left pocket
understand
and
that.
putting it in the right pocket, so I haven't
I mean,
really.
at this point, I think we should have, each business should be able to, should have their own accounting system. I mean, I
And
know
we're-
at some point our goal is to put those together,
Right.
but at
And
this
in- and
point,
I-
we evaluate them separately. We here on the committee and the council, and we look at those and make those comparisons.
That you're 100% correct, and we can do this. It's just a question of accuracy and how much we want to cost, and that's just something we've got to sit down and think about. And I just have not done that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes, Mr. Satterlee.
yeah, I just want to follow up on what Councilman Dawson just said. In your response, when you say we have to agree upon it, that's St. James and us.
No, sir. That's you as a council have to decide.
So they
how
got to
much-
pay whatever we say?
No, sir. We're going to take them, we're not selling water to St. James. We're selling water to the area that was formerly supplied by St. James. So we used to buy water from St. James Parish, but we don't buy that water anymore.
So those customers that are in that area is who you're talking about?
Right, I'm talking about those customers in that
Because,
area.
I mean, you know, that number of $6 that's coming up in the next report or so just ain't going to cut it. I mean,
Well, the $6 is not the cost of making water. The $6 is the cost of making, distributing, billing, overhead, insurance, and all that. So we're buying water from Assumption Parish for, I think, $2.50, which I think we can make it for a lot less than that. In fact, I'm trying to, we're working on calculating that, just kind of figuring out.
But the bottom line, Mr. Daniel, it's not going to really affect then the area quote-unquote customers that are currently paying whatever they're paying.
Right, it doesn't affect their,
Okay.
what their,
No.
anything to
It's
the
an
customers.
accounting.
It's
That's what I
just,
wanted
it's
to
just
hear.
an accounting function,
Right.
and as Mr. Dawson correctly points out, it lets the income and expense report for ACD number one and the income and expense report for PUA be more accurate.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. With that, we'll move on to agenda item number 8. Parish Utilities of Ascension, cost per 1,000 gallons of water produced.
And again, let me emphasize, this is not the cost of making water. This is the cost of making, and this is the cost of running a water company. And so it's hard to look at it on a monthly basis because we don't do accrual accounting, we do cash accounting. So if I buy a bunch of chemicals like I did in July, then it just
Bumps it up.
affects the July number. So if you flip the page, you can kind of see that the year-to-date number is about 459, which is, I think, if you look at the EPA and American Water Association, that's really not too far out of line. But I think I can get that even lower still, though. So we're working at that. And we also have some engineering fees in this month as well, $28,000. So that kind of drove it up as well.
Mr. Daniel, why you made clarification at least twice about that it don't cost $6 to produce the water, that costs a couple dollars.
Yes, sir.
You're getting it $2.50 from Assumption or whatever. But I appreciate the total number because in any industry, the O&M, the raw materials, everything goes into the cost of goods sold.
Absolutely.
Okay, so people need to see this, need to see this number. This is how much it costs to be in the business we're in. Okay.
If I was doing a true profit and loss statement, sir, I would pull out the engineering fees and I would level out the chemicals on a monthly basis. Because the engineering fees are one-time expenses. And so that's why I think it's, even though if you look at it, even if you look at a year-to-date, you're still getting kind of an inflated number because of a bunch of one-time expenses that are associated with this. Hopefully, as when we make some of the repairs and as we move forward, these numbers will level out and they'll be much more consistent from month to month, except for the chemical purchases.
So
Yes, Mr. Sadler.
So to be sure, I think I see now what you're talking about. Both the professional services and water treatment chemicals jumped up big time in July, which accounts for the fact that our rate per 1,000 gallons is back to 604, second highest since the beginning of the year, January. Like 632, it looks like in March. And you're right, that it's going to constantly be a fluctuation problem when you get those two. 'Cause if you take those two big numbers out of there,
It's a
goes down.
reasonable number.
Yeah, it's more in line with the overall average in the previous months, all of which are too high, except I like that one in January.
Well, the one in January only had half the salaries in it, so,
Yeah, I noticed that there's a big discrepancy there, too. I remember we were talking about that in the past,
and
too.
we paid some of it at the end of the year, so.
Right,
But like you
so
just,
it's not
Go
realistic.
ahead.
No, that's okay, that's good.
like you just explained a while ago, you would take the chemicals and you would put that through a 12-month period.
Yes, sir.
And that's it, because that's what you know what it's gonna cost.
Right,
And
you
then
can
you'd
see this.
probably have a budget for your services, and
Right.
you'd flatline that. so.
Right, you see the salaries don't change very much from month to month, and the employee benefits and the tax, et cetera. The electric has changed a little bit, and I'm not sure why we had that one low month in May. I don't understand that, but most of the other costs are, relatively the same from month to month, so. And again, once we get this lined out, I expect the cost to be much more consistent.
Repair and maintenance also is like a windshield wiper, but if we get all this USDA grant stuff going, that should go away, too.
Right, well, absolutely, repair and maintenance, sometimes we have to do bigger lines, and sometimes we're actually connecting some services, and that's expensive as well, but then we have the additional revenue coming in, so.
Right. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions? With that said, we'll move on to agenda item number 9, introduction of PAU/ACUD number 2 rules and regulations, sections
Yeah.
1-6.
It should be ACUD number 1, that's a typo.
That's, I believe.
Okay, so, y'all ask, and y'all being the council, committee, excuse me, for some rules, and, Ms. Taylor has worked very hard to come up with these rules. So this is sort of an introduction. Let y'all read them, and then we'll come back the next month, and then we'll, incorporate whatever comments you have into the rules. And then once we get approval, then we'll put this on our website, and so that everybody can see, all the rules and regulations regarding the water company.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, this is only the first half of the
Yeah, there's
rules.
more rules to
There's
come.
more rules coming,
Yes.
so you got to be careful what you wish for.
Well, I think that there's going to be some deliberation on some of the stuff anyway.
Absolutely,
Okay.
and that's why we wanted to get it to the committee, so that the committee could reflect on it and
And
tell
one
us.
thing about the committee, and then going forward into the council, that we all represent people, and this is a public entity, and is that, we need to know the process.
Sure. And I
When
know
somebody
that,
calls you and says, my water was cut off, well, this is the process. There's possibilities that we could help them on the phone before they even force us to make a call to you guys, is that, well, did you pay your bill last month? Well, no, but it was just 1 month behind, or something like that. Or, well, I just bought the house, so there's like a mix-up of who's,
Sure.
you
this'll have-
left with, you turned the house over with water running, and then as soon as you run over there to the water company, made sure it got out of your name, so it gets turned off without any
right,
service.
and those are some of the more mundane rules. I mean,
Right.
those are kind of, but there's also more complex rules on backflow preventers and everything, and we want to make sure that the general public understands those as well.
Yes. Mr. Bill Dawson.
That's okay.
I'll wait till they come back.
Yeah. I'll probably come back with the second herd of rules, yeah.
I'd like to do that too. Mr. Chairman, if I could just interject, is there a particular set of rules elsewhere that this has been modeled off of?
Well, Ms. Taylor's been working on them, so if you don't mind, sir, may she answer?
Sure.
I've gone through different municipalities within the country
Okay.
and looked at their different rules and regulations. And then
Excellent.
also, I took ACUD1's previous policy manual,
Okay.
and then I talked with Ashley about how they do the billing for both ACUD1 and PUA, which you'll notice it's in here and it's very different. And I'm just started incorporating it and kind of using common sense
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
to write
Good
some of
deal.
these and clean up some of the language and put Ascension Parish and ACUD1 and so on and so forth.
Yep, very fine. And I know this is preliminary. We're going to be looking at it more extensively, and you're going to maybe double its volume, whatever. But Section 5, denial of services, it mentions Exhibit 10.
Yes, and I think it's yellow.
Yeah, we're going to get that eventually.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Thank you so much.
And
Welcome.
in the event that we get a little further along with this, and I'm the bottleneck on this project, but we will send it to you by email so that you'll have it to look at.
Good deal.
Thank you.
Before we move on to agenda item number 10, I would like to take this time as a committee chair to thank the committee members and to thank the chairman of the council for last week for allowing us to move forward with the loan application without full vetting within the committee, and getting a good understanding of what we were moving forward for. That we were basically looking for approval to move forward with the process, and it'll come back to us. So once again, thank you guys, Autonomy, for working with me and working with the administration to try to get that done, and it seemed to have worked so far. With that,
Motion to adjourn.
we have a motion adjourned by Mr. Sadler, second by Mr. Johnson. Any objection, any discussion? We are adjourned.